I guess we can confidently say that perhaps even youth unemployment can even be a cause of these conflicts as well. So when these refugees come to your camps or settlement areas, are they taking through some skills development programs towards their rehabilitation or whatever?
That's right.
Okay. Can you walk us through some of the programs that that they go through?
Currently, as we speak, the employment rate of refugees is about 29% compared to about 64% of the host communities.
Wow.
Which is very, very low. And we have programs on livelihoods and self-reliance projects in place. We have a number of partners with whom we are working. UNHCR is not a specialist in livelihood programs. Okay. Therefore, we partner with others who are specialized in this. Vocational training is key. Is key to our programs. We engage in vocational training and work with other partners to ensure that refugee self-reliance is achieved. Last year, we signed a partnership agreement with the private sector foundation of Uganda with several thousand members to open up the settlements, so to speak, the settlements, to introduce them to engage in different types of businesses which would require the labor and expertise of refugees there, to open up these markets in refugee settlements. Because in Uganda, the settlements cover an area of 1,162 square kilometers. This is twice the size of Nairobi, 4 times the size of New York.
Wow.
So it is a vast area with huge economic potentials. So we are working with non-traditional donors, the private sector, other partners, development partners, to invest in these areas. These are vast areas. And that is it's also a demonstration of the generosity of Uganda to avail this size of land for refugee settlement alone. This is no mean achievement at all. I talked of 1.66 million refugees here. Add about 2.4 million host community in the immediate
the catchment area.
Exactly.
That's a lot.
This is big. This is big. The area I mentioned, I did not even include the host community area. So instead of engaging in parallel systems of assistance to refugees, why don't we integrate them in the National Development Plan? And that is what is happening in Uganda.
Wow.
Refugees are included in the National Development Plan. Refugees are going to be included in the census that is going to happen next month.
As what? As Ugandans? Or?
No.
Okay.
To know who and who are
the number
here.
of people.
Yes.
Okay.
Where are they?
Okay.
We know they are there, but if we are
but they cannot vote.
They cannot vote.
Okay.
Refugees in Uganda have got the right to everything except voting. They cannot vote.
So they can move out of the settlement area and even get a job in Kampala.
Of course, they can. They can. But the condition is this, that once you are in Kampala, that's the condition the government has put in place, you should be able to fend for yourself.
So you're not a refugee.
You are a refugee.
Yes.
By definition, legally, you are a refugee. But you are not reliant on handouts, because you are able to cater for yourself, which is a good thing. About 8% of refugees in Uganda are in Kampala.
Wow.
And other urban areas as well. This is a big number. That underscores what I mentioned. I told you about the generosity
of Uganda.
Interesting. To open the doors. For people.
Let's talk about what then is the commitment of UNHCR first to the refugee themselves, and then to the country, the host country, like say Uganda.
The commitment is the support that we provide the government.
What kind of support is that?
Support for provision of basic services, education.
Right.
Because the education facilities do not serve only refugees, but refugees and the host community. Right. Water systems. Let me give you an example. In 2018, we used to spend about $18 million on water alone per year. because water had to be trucked from one place to another. Refugees were coming in their numbers and so on and so forth. Last year, we spent only a little over 3 million. This year, we have budget for about 2.5 million or so, because we have managed to, working with development partners, to integrate water systems for refugees in the national system.
Wow.
Yeah, that is where the humanitarian development nexus is really at play here in Uganda. You see it live happening. And also the education facilities, working with the Ministry of Education, we have what we call the Education Response Plan, covering education facilities in refugee settlement and host communities. We are working since 2018 down, when we put in place what we call the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework. The World Bank has engaged. The World Bank is a development partner. And now the World Bank is engaged in the refugee response in the refugee hosting areas.
Interesting.
So they have what we call the window for hosting refugees, something which was not there before. And this is also based on what we call a protection note from UNHCR to the World Bank that enables them to release such funds. In Uganda, from 2018 down, the World Bank has released over $1 billion for refugee hosting areas. So thanks to the collaboration that we have, UNHCR, the World Bank, and the host and Uganda, to ensure that this funding for development activities, to ensure that these communities are resilient enough to be able to host refugees and the host communities as well. So there is a lot happening in that regard. We continue, of course, our normative work of ensuring international protection for refugees remains. Legal representation, when refugees fall in trouble, who helps them, who assists them in the courts. Yes, we are working. Yes, we are working with partners. Uganda Law Society, for example, to ensure that refugees are represented, to ensure that refugees have got identification and are duly registered, birth registration, and all. These are some of the software aspects of the protection that we offer them. Gender-based violence and child protection is ensured through our collaboration with partners and with government. We are working with the Office of the Prime Minister through the Refugee Department to ensure that protection and assistance is granted the refugees. We are also working with the district local governments to help administer some of the settlements. There are certain local governments like Koboko district also, who are even implementing education and health programs instead of working through NGOs, sometimes international NGOs who may tend to be a bit more expensive. We are working more and more with the district local governments to ensure that refugee systems, basic services are very well integrated in national systems, because in Uganda, refugees are included in the National Development Plan.